So I have a way more content than I have time. So this will be somewhat an experiment as well. I'll go as quick as I can. So kind of eyes on screen, I guess. Let's see, where does it take us? So first of all, DevOps, no silos. That's what we've been talking about for last 10 years or so, that silos are bad. So I'm trying to state the opposite. One thing which I want to believe in, after this, you'll be able to make better decisions when making software. At least I hope so. A little bit about me. I'm coming as an engineer. I made my first CI 14 years ago. That's it. That's enough. Where am I coming from? How many know this small logo? Anyone? There's one. Anyone else? Company doesn't exist anymore, but that's where I started and where I had kind of first argument that something in this company kind of something seems wrong. But I was so junior, I kind of didn't get it, and people said, "Just shut up, Uldis. Good for you that you raised this, but thank you." Then I joined another great company. Many of you know which one was that, but during those years I kind of started seeing more issues, more things going on, and then I made a talk, my first talk. It was a dev club where half of room were laughing, half of room were like, why? And then I got some bad feedback that why I needed to listen for 30 minutes or 45, so obvious things, so normal things, and half of room was just laughing. Kind of, yes, this is what we are, this is what we do. Then it took a couple of years. All the DevOps topics became more and more kind of important and so on. And there was some talk which was more about what isn't DevOps. Some 5 years ago, it's like everything was DevOps, everything. It was impossible to tell what's not DevOps. And then a couple years later, those who started doing DevOps, they started looking into what's not working and why we can't scale it. So some of you probably have seen this one, which was all pictures and bunnies dying and so on. Yeah, so I've been through that a bit. Kind of what's DevOps, what's not, where we are, and so on. And yeah, I kind of found it. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. Like this small guy, the unicorn. That's why we use it as a symbol, because I hope so, it doesn't exist. And then, basically by accident, one morning I was going through some videos, and so there's Netflix talking, and what they say, so who doesn't know Netflix, kind of probably the best company in DevOps in the world, probably. So DevOps is a product of successful culture, that's what they say. And they had another slide, which I quickly couldn't find. They said on the slide, Netflix doesn't do DevOps. So to me, it was like, yeah, this is what I meant. So I'll let you process that for a moment. We're somewhat doing things or discussing things from the other end. We're kind of celebrating DevOps, celebrating good practices, but, and then we talk about Kubernetes all day at the DevOps conference. Something is not right, in my opinion at least. So, well, someone did this, so let's blame someone. Who is the smartest person on IT, in IT? Yeah? No? No, not the manager? The architect. The architect. At least we expect that. If there's someone who's saying, I'm the architect, then we have some expectations. Let's look at that. So before architect, so we talked about silos, and just what is that? A system, process, department, etc. that operates in isolation from others. That's the new meaning. Before that, it was just a pit, some grains, whatever. And then the architecture, what I like about this one, it's the art or practice of designing and constructing, well, buildings, IT systems. They should change that to systems, I guess. That works better. So that's about it. So who is the architect? How do you become one? Really, what do you do to become an architect? Have you heard about architect school? Does anyone teach that in university, how to become specifically an architect? Such thing doesn't exist. We in company have school for architects, which is pretty basic. It's good, but it's still somewhat basic. And then this happened. How many don't like metrics and don't give a shit about it from this audience? Raise a hand that you don't care about metrics, you haven't seen it. No one? Hmm? That counts. So, and one thing what happened with this movie, in a way, is there's this guy. He can do anything. The tricky part is, he's not a real person. He copied himself in a system, and now actually he's a computer and doing all the things. Which means the architect is impossible. But yeah, we see this, and wouldn't it be cool to be this guy? And everyone has some dream to become an architect. So what does it know? Really, what should architect know? This is one of company slides, but it kind of very nicely shows what's going on in IT for last 20, 30, 70 years. What this means in a bigger enterprise, that architect must understand all of this. There's some quantum coming, they will need to learn that as well. All the mainframes, the microservices, the serverless, architect must know all of it. Who the hell can do that? Is there such person? Maybe, but then all is he doing is just reading. Is that really what architects should do? So where does it live? This comes actually from Martin Fowler's blog. Anyone reading on Martin Fowler? Couple, could be more. In very simple words, very good ideas. I would suggest to go through that. And then there's idea that architect is the person who kinda in a building should go to those upper levels to CEOs, CIOs, and on each level there's different team, different focus what that level is doing, and there could be a couple of architects going up and down and communicating and making plans, doing the art. Well, kind of slow, isn't it? If one person needs to go to this floor, he's traveling all the time. That's somewhat slow. And then what do they come up with? This is one simple example which I just found on Google, but in my life I've seen more complex than this in a real company. In a special tool which is for architects. I opened that, I just wasn't able to find a thing which I was looking for. And they are expected to know this? Really? Can any person memorize, kind of get oriented around this? And kind of forget about it. So one thing what some good team of architects, senior engineers came up with, I don't remember which company, doesn't matter, but kind of very serious, very mature team. So we made good decisions after kind of making the product they understood, but only now do we understand how we should have built it. What does it mean? Can you ever make anything right if you don't know enough about it? Impossible. Kind of making perfect architecture or perfect right decision for anything is impossible. It's just not possible. So kind of, does it make sense to try doing that? Okay. Then, do you know what is this? Who knows? Bravely raises a hand. Okay, I believe there's a couple. So how many kind of have heard about Conway's law? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Should be more. Have you actually read it from 60s, 70s, 60s, I think? Have you? I did that practice on myself. Kind of everyone is talking about it. I should finally read it. Pretty simple. Suggested for everyone. Not about IT really. But then, oh yeah, this stuff. So I hope you have seen this. In DevOps conferences, there's always one person mentioning Conway's law, at least. And then, 2 quotes which I found in a document which really resonated with me. So, and that's written in 60s. So they may also be personal decisions the designer makes about his own future. When we are making decisions, designing something, just writing code, isn't person who is writing code an architect? In my opinion, he actually is, just for the small piece. So that's one thing. There is no such thing as a design group which both organized and unbiased. And then somewhere, again by accident, I found this picture. I'm sorry if you can't really read it, but just let's look at these 2 persons. So this is org chart, and everyone has emotions. Everyone has history. And then we look at these 2 people. And let's imagine that these 2 are part of API gateway, making APIs. And this person probably needs to connect to some new API with his product or something. And let's imagine there are 2 similar APIs, kind of given same data, and he just needs to connect from his code to one or another. If he really doesn't like one of creators of one of those APIs, what are the chances that he will go to that API? No. We're biased. We're biased, simple as that. And then most probably, if there's kind of the data another API as well, I'll better use that one, because if I'll need to, I'll go and talk to the creator, and I will never go and talk with this person ever. I will avoid that. And well, I don't know about you. I have caught myself sometimes doing a bit odd decisions just because, well, I don't really want to talk with that person specifically in a company. I may find a different way. Yeah, kind of think about that. It happens. And then what happens in result if such people who don't really like each other are somewhere in a leading roles in a company? Probably one is running ops department, one is running some business, another one is running similar business. All of them are high standing. This is a real picture from conversation with one of clients. In 1 hour after discussing, we came up with this, and this is simplified view kinda, where branching strategy for one product. Lines everywhere. Talks, 1 hour just to come up with it. That's my handwriting, that's why you can't understand anything. I'm sorry for that. But this is what happens. People running a company, and each of them trying to find their own way, how to stay relevant, how to come up with their own thing, and actually competing with each other. What's good in that? There's nothing good about it. So, this is what happens. People like me come in and say, yeah, let's drop some DevOps on it. Yeah, well, that's business, that's what we do, and probably that is the right thing to do, but after years, more and more of this is kind of becoming a nonsense, because for every smallest issue lately, someone is saying, you need DevOps for that. Really? But that's what's happening. So what happens then? Well, yeah, let's put some DevOps on it. No time to kind of deep dive into the slide, but somewhere at the beginning, it means bigger investment. Let's set up those pipelines, let's do this, let's get Kubernetes because it's cool. And at the beginning, yeah, bigger investment, and the blue line is more about value and actually doing valuable stuff, which brings money. So yeah, and the expectation is that after some time, we'll kind of get lower costs and so on, and this is what happens after a year. It's not working. Someone did another DevOps for this customer, and it's not working, and no one understands why. And I hope you have read at least one of these. Yeah? I was hoping that a bit more. At least one. So 40, 50 pages, not hard. And those people, the Puppet and others, started doing that 2013, making surveys about kind of what's going on in the world, about DevOps and their analysis on that, and that was pretty cool. And then at 10 they came up with this, the book Accelerate, which has a lot of good content in it, which is more about 5 years research on that. Who is that? Jez Humble. I don't know her well. I'm sorry, I don't have a name. And thank you. Yeah, and so they've been traveling around with these results and telling people kind of science and crap out of DevOps. Kind of, is it making sense what we do? A lot of good stuff there. One of things, which is I think super good, kind of, is they came up with this, which, to simplify it as much as I can, says leadership is kind of one of main things. Is company gonna succeed or not? Then continuous delivery for IT company is something like must-have, another kind of successor, and a couple of other things. So they tried to make this structure. Then another concept which they talk about in a book is this WESTRUM'S typology, which basically puts companies in 3 different types. Pathological, you don't want to be in that one. Bureaucratic, well, survivable, and then generative. It doesn't mean startup, it's a company kind of with the right culture, which is super hard to achieve, if it's achievable at all. So they talk about that, and definitely book highly suggested and gives lots of interesting ideas. Then remember I mentioned continuous delivery, so they did research how, so the violet box is the good one where we make new stuff, and continuous delivery lets those companies to do more good stuff in one day, for example. Good. Continuous delivery helps. Amazing. And then someone goes to CIO, CFO, CEO, I don't really know who's who, and says, yeah, this is what we need to do. I just read the Accelerate book or something like that, and let's do this. Let's start everything from beginning and so on. Yeah, the idea is sold. Let's do a DevOps transformation. Another thing what lots of companies who say they are DevOps gurus are selling today. Let's do a DevOps transformation. Yeah, we need to go back to stuff what Mirko was talking about this morning, about this, where somewhere we start in a red zone, something is not working, someone sells transformation idea, and we get to the green zone. So we fix it. Kind of, we fix it. We finish the transformation. As Mirko said, yes, this is where we want to be. We want to do a transformation and be great forever. But for some reason, it's not working because it's a project. And then this is what's happening. We finished one project, and then we want to start another one because new issues came around. This is what happens with projects. This is what we see every day. As Mirko said this morning, well, we're in consultancy, so it's kind of good for us that companies are doing this. But is it making sense? There's another problem what happens with projects as such. They just are never delivered on time, are they? I don't know about your reality. My reality is if someone comes up with an estimate, then there comes someone who says, cool, good ideas, yeah. We know that all projects fail. Let's put some contingency to it. Let's just make it longer, just for any case. And even then, they typically fail. Something what has been going on since 2015, big survey for big companies, all the C-level, that's how they called, C-level people are interviewed, kind of how their business is doing and so on. And the main thing what we need to take away from this is that comparing data from 2015 to 2018-19 is that there are companies who are growing faster and who are growing slower. Simple as that. Something is different between them. And then if we imagine the year 2023, it means that those who were growing slow will grow slow. And those others kind of are getting speed more and more and more, getting more and more business, which means these most probably will just die out. Not cool, not cool. What do great companies have? These ones. Usually it will be microservices. Because we look at data, we interview them, and kind of what do you have, and yeah, they do microservices. Okay, so now, well, so we should do microservices. We start working on this stuff. We bring in the artifact, the architect, the engineer, everyone, and we take our cool system, which is not that cool, and we remake it, another transformation project. Then the serverless, which surprisingly you don't like, because everyone is about serverless now. That's my finding from yesterday. Okay, so we do that. 5 books on that. How many of you right now are kind of migrating on to microservices or doing microservices? There must be someone. Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, so that's what we do. And then we come up with this, and we look at their nice diagrams. Amazon published this, Netflix published this. Imagine you're a human being, and someone sends you in and says, this is our architecture. This is not that one which you showed us before with lots of colors. This is our architecture, and most probably it's automatically generated, so this is a real thing. Yeah, okay, that's a new cool stuff, fine. How to get there? At least in company where I come from, we talk about digital decoupling for a couple of years already, which is a program how to take something old and re-architect it, rebuild it into new cool stuff, microservices and everything. It's huge topic, doesn't matter. There's a system approach how to do that. So that's one way. Then somewhere it didn't really work. Kind of for some customers, it didn't really work, and then there was a new idea that, okay, let's talk about multi-speed IT. Have you heard about multi-speed IT? Or there was big thing, this bimodal, yeah, and community said bimodal doesn't work, so now we do multi-speed IT again. All things, everything, all kinds of things. Then someone comes in and says, feature teams, product teams. Now the latest one, which is very old, but now the latest most popular one is DevOps teams. I have been on a call where I'm talking about DevOps team, and at the end I understand that we are talking about 2 absolutely different things, what DevOps team is. Then lately this is happening. Let's take these, the developer, the tester, the engineer, the operations, and squeeze it into one small engineer who must know everything. That's cool now. Some call it full stack engineer who really can do that. Maybe if you have 15 years of experience and have been doing only this and nothing else, and every day on a new product, new technology, then maybe you are. And everyone like that, not gonna work. So same concept, so from Martin Fowler again, that we're just doing IT wrong. We need to have these product teams or feature teams, whatever you call them. Cool ideas, proven that it works, kind of. And then we come up with something like this, another framework, how to kind of re-architect. Remember digital decoupling, something similar, but now about organization, that take these things, the old things, and kind of make product teams and so on, and kind of cool, and that's how we talk with the customers, and that's what they are doing. The question which no one actually has answered is this 3? Can it be 30? 300? How many teams you can have like this, just basically in a lean horizontal structure? People don't talk about that. They are avoiding these talks because no one really has an answer. And we keep doing it, and kind of we will learn by going and so on. So yeah, something is not working. Where's the catch? I need to go even faster, I see. So issue 1. Let's focus on the screen. So we're good at copying behavior. Just as example, if I'll give a small paper and write my name on it and give a paper to Arthurs and show him, he will most probably write down his name, and most of you will do the same thing. That's how we understand each other, how well, without talking. Yeah. So we see patterns. We just go around and we understand, yeah, I know this thing, I know that thing, I could copy it, and so on. And then we start doing this. That company made that cool pipeline. We want it as well, and we start doing kind of the same thing. They have DevOps, we need DevOps, we start doing DevOps. It's somewhat like this. There's a map for someone, and for some reason we imagine we could do same thing, but the treasure is not there. For us, it's a different map. So that's one thing which is just happening with us every day. We try to copy each other. Doesn't really work. Second issue. We're very good as, why humans are the best race? Because we work in groups, we communicate, that's great. And then, yeah, in a group, we're amazing. And someone always wants to lead, which is a problem of kind of humans, probably. There's always someone leading. And at the end, we're like, yeah, let's do open spaces everywhere. And the result is, somewhat resonated me. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but there was a talk about habits this morning, kind of how to start managing yourself. Did people need to manage themselves and need special techniques? 50 years ago, 100 years ago, probably not. We're just overwhelmed because of this, probably. Now, talk to everyone, communicate. People are good at communication. Doesn't really work. In numbers, if we have 5 people, they're actually doing kind of 120 lines to talk with each other. If we take 10 people, a group, just look at the number. That's how math works. So something wrong. Gonna put 10 people team and go do this. Kind of an issue. Third issue. I don't have time for experiment. I was expecting that. So these would be kind of results of experiment. If you just give a list of things, hard to remember. Just hard to remember. If we give kind of 2 lists. If we give 3 shorter groups of same things, human kinda starts memorizing that. There's a theory about short-term memory. I'm not expert at all, but that's what theory says. 7 ± 2 chunks are kinda staying in our short-term memory. Let's use that. Instead of, so these are 50 APIs you need to be expert of, just read them, or there's documentation. Hard. So yeah, easy, mistakes, 15 and more, hard. If you remember, I was talking about this. I started with this. I kind of moved away, right? So actually working in small groups, small chunks, is a good thing. That's kind of from human nature. This is how we are built. So I personally call it a magic 7. I just decided so. The idea is pretty simple. Make sure no person has more than 7 abstractions, or more than 5 to 7 to work with. And then each of those things you can split down. If you think about code, how do we abstract things? Never more than 7. If we think about people, never more than kind of 7 things what human being needs to remember. Instead of giving an org chart of company with 100 people and saying, learn it, doesn't work. So that's the idea. Then another thing. So abstraction or layering or grouping, this is not coming from me. This is very old idea actually. I don't know how old idea, because it's at the same time kind of new practice how companies should be built. That somewhere in the middle we have kind of supporting functions, HR, finances, DevOps platform probably, and then others would be something like product development teams and just kind of using what's in the middle. Yeah, I've seen that. Kind of better, but still hard to remember them all. I believe it's a bit hard to comprehend this slide, but the idea is that no person in the middle needs to memorize too many things. That's the idea. And then how to communicate with abstraction layers. Let's take this person who needs to talk with some service, download some data from something what this team built. So instead of connecting there needs to be an abstraction layer. Think about that as API gateway, where by layers you can connect to the next level. That's how our mind is working. I believe that's what books say, so I'd use that. Another thing, think Conway, control communications. We had talks about working from home, and is it good, is it bad, and so on. It's not good or bad. Problem is not there. Problem is not about remote work. What we see often is this. There's team working and someone is working from home. This person. That's typically how I work from home, if I'm being honest. And there's something to discuss. There's one person working remotely. They will not talk to him. Simple as that. And so simple rule, which I would suggest. Either one room or no room. And I've seen teams who decide, okay, on Thursdays, we work remotely. No one is coming to office. Works great. If there's this one person somewhere not together with the team, doesn't work. Yeah, this is it. My time's up. Sorry for that. Couple of ideas. If you took anything from this as I should try that, then great. Thank you.
Thank you, Uldi. Thank you.